So last episode, I've managed to escape the tyranny of the rain in Great Britain, but it seems to have followed us all the way over here into Paris, France now. I've chosen a mission to drive from Paris to Poznan, so it's quite a distance, 1,200 kilometers as you can see. And we are getting paid, not very much, by a rather bad driver. Isn't John from Berlin? I'm pretty sure he is. And I wanted to go ahead and buy a new truck, etc. and a new driver so I can upgrade my Berlin garage and get a bit more money. But unfortunately, that won't be the case because I had to repair this vehicle after my rather lackluster driving. It's always hard talking and driving at the same time. I guess that's why talking on your mobile phone is illegal, in most places at least now, while you're driving, especially when you're driving a massive truck like we are right now. Probably not the smartest thing at all to do. But in line with all the previous episodes, or at least the last couple of episodes that we've been doing, I'll be talking a little bit about politics. In this episode, a little bit more about Australian politics to be exact. Doesn't seem like too many Americans. Well, I think there was a vocal minority, very vocal minority, that wanted to express their views in the comment section, which is cool, of course. I'm not a fan of blocking people. I, of course, very much value the freedom of speech, which is going to be quite an important thing when it comes to what I'm going to be talking about this episode, which is a gay marriage. It's come up in the media over the last week, rather amusingly, of course, but we'll get into that later. Right now, I'll just go ahead and update you on what SCS has been putting on their blog if you haven't been following it, and their latest patch, which is going to be coming in any day now, hopefully sooner rather than later, but they did say it's coming very soon on their blog. You never know, it might already be updated and I have not realized, but I did check before I started recording. But they're going to be releasing 2 new truck brands, not truck dealers or anything, but truck brands, like 2 whole new truck companies, which is quite amazing. It seems like the trucking companies have really taken notes of this game, which is great to see. What the hell is that guy doing? Only God knows. But 2 whole new trucking companies. So I think there were 7 at the start, and the one that we are using now, DAF. Oh God! And I engaged the parking brake. Damn train line. Damn. All right, how badly did we damage ourselves? It's not too bad. That's manageable, 100%. Alright, we've got to disengage the parking brake, of course. Instead of me being stuck and having no idea what's happening. And supposedly, over the last couple of weeks, there was a keygen. The way that this game tackled piracy was rather poor, really. Even though these days, crackers and all these scene groups, which is what they're called like Skid Row and Razor 1911, I think they've disbanded or something. But all these other, like, hackers, I guess you really wouldn't call them hackers, but crackers would be more the word. They can pretty much crack any game they want, really, these days. Unless you have online servers and you have to be logged online to those servers to be able to play the game. Like, I've pirated games before, of course. I've pirated Anno 2070. The Deep Ocean DLC, because I bought the official game and then the expansion because I really hated Ubisoft in their DRM. This is when Ubisoft actually really were strict on their DRM. You had to be logged on, and it was just crap. And this is even before I got my own internet. I had to use my family's internet, which was rather poor, and my dad didn't want to change it. So you'd be logging in and, well, you'd be the internet was very intermittent. You'd be logging in, logging off every couple of minutes, and you couldn't really play a game. So I had to get a crack for that. But the way that this game, you better use the map. There we go, and that's why we got to use the map. Because of idiots like me that keep talking, don't pay too much attention. Now, if I get stuck, I won't be happy. And I don't want to jackknife it too hard. But yeah, the way that this game tackled piracy was that it used just some algorithm, which I guess was pretty hard to crack. But of course, crackers managed to get past it and around it. And should have indicated. Even though it's a continuous... No, we won't be able to overtake him anyway. But the crackers managed to get around it, and there was a key gen only over the last couple of weeks, supposedly, not on release. This is when usually the cracks come out, like on release, so people can play it immediately. But there was a key gen, and there were some other companies that sell games that were using the key gen. So they were pretty much companies that were stealing money from SCS. And SCS weren't really seeing any of the money. It's sort of like second-hand game sales, except for, I don't know, people getting the key gen. It's sort of, but second-hand game sales, the developers and publishers don't see a single cent of it. And that's sort of the same as what was happening here, apart from this is like online sales. So it's pretty much theft, almost. Not really, but almost. There were companies making money off of selling the pirated keygens. So that's pretty much why this patch is taking so long, is that I think they had to create like a whole new system to beat the keygen guys. So now I think we'll have to sign in just once onto their servers, on SCS servers, to validate the game. So I think that's why it's taking so long. That's what it said, at least in the blog, and what I could understand it. I'll try to put a link down below if I remember to. And of course, recording this episode is rather difficult for me because I've gotten the SimCity beta. And we crash once more, damage 2%, that's manageable. But I've been playing the SimCity beta pretty much all weekend. It's a lot of fun, even though many of the options are locked. And I can't really choose too many things to build, etc. But it's still so much fun, and the UI, it's pretty much just the whole game is the UI, because it's a simulation and everything that you see is being simulated. It's really quite amazing how well the game runs, and because SimCity 4 was number crunched, pretty much just crunched the numbers, and it wasn't really simulating anything. Like, you couldn't see the garbage trucks pick up the garbage or anything like that. It just sort of happened behind the scenes. You didn't see anything. Whereas in this game, you see everything. You see the electricity going down the road, down the electricity lines. You see water being pumped. You see the sewage being pumped in. You see the garbage trucks taking out the rubbish. It's really, really good. If you want more details on my SimCity 4 or SimCity experience, I'd recommend watching the SimCity 4 video, which would have been uploaded before this. I'll actually go off here, and we should be able to go to sleep, because my guy's been yawning, hasn't he? He sure has. And unfortunately, that means I'll be driving during the night. And we crash once more. What the hell is wrong with crashing? And me today. It's 8 o'clock. Thankfully, it stopped raining. So I can get rid of the windscreen wipers. Paid a bit of a loan installment. That's another reason why it's good not to have paid for another truck and a new driver, because we'd be massively in debt then. So they take $8,000 off us every day at 12 p.m. Go back to the map so we know where we're driving. We're 1,100 kilometers away, which is alright. Probably should have picked up a bit of petrol, but I guess we'll do that a bit later once we're closer to Poland. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the patch, of course. I think I've said that in every single episode after the last one. The last one, of course, brought in buses and all that other good stuff. It changed DAF, or changed, I think the truck brand was called DAV or something, and the real brand is called DAF. They just needed official licensing to call it DAF. SCS, so they did that. That's of course the truck that we are driving now. I've got no clue really on truck brands at all. I just chose the one that best suited my needs, really. In this game, that is a rather cheap toll as well. Quite happy with whatever country we're in then. Personally, I'd prefer no tolls, but it's much better than Italy. Those damn €100 well, €100 tolls. But anyway, back into what I wanted to talk about, at least for a large chunk of this episode. Let's maybe... Right, the music's down. It just seems a bit loud. But earlier this week, well, this year is going to be an election year in Australia, which is, you know, good and bad, a bit exciting. But and knowing the Australian media, they're just going to pretty much be like all the gossip magazines that you have with celebrities, not really talking about or dissecting policy, just talking about blatant rumor mongering pretty much. But of course, it's a bit exciting. The country can change, possibly. But yeah, we have the Senate, of course, and we have the lower house, which is pretty much where most of the politicians sit, where they represent a electorate, and then the Senate, they represent their states. And most political parties at this time, this close to the election, they're definitely getting ready for who's going to run for what seats, etc. And there's this new party called Katter's Australian Party. I think it's called Katter's Australian Party, or the Australian Party. But I think it's called Katter's Australian Party. But there's this guy called Bob Katter, and boy oh boy is he a character. He lives up in North Queensland, which is pretty much one of the most conservative, at least, places in Australia. Well, most of Queensland is... The state of Queensland is probably the most conservative state in Australia, because it's just so... It's very... most of it is like... Most of the population centres are out in the country. It's not very urbanized. There's Brisbane, which is the capital, I guess, of the state. But apart from that, most of the people really live in the country. And because of that, most of the people obviously support people that support them. And most people that support right-wing, I don't know, political parties are most likely out in the country. It's pretty much the same everywhere, really. Pretty much like the southern states pretty much all vote for Republicans, whereas up north, and particularly northeast, it's pretty much all Democratic. Anyway, back into the story. The different candidates are all running for the whatever seats that they want to go into. And there was this guy called Bernard Gaynor. Yes, I repeat, Bernard Gaynor. This Bernard Gaynor guy was running for the Katter's Australian Party. A very weird party, really. It fights for some good things, and then it pretty much screws itself over by saying some pretty idiotic stuff. And what this this whole thing started with a lady that was running for the KAP, we'll call her from now on. She was pretty much saying that she was comparing gay marriage rights to pedophile rights, and she was saying that before you know it, pedophiles will have the same rights as gay members of society, which is pretty ludicrous. Because the only thing that gays are really getting is a supposed privilege that the right-wing parties really hate so much is just marriage. In Australia, I think in most places, they recognize de facto relationships, as they should. Of course, that's going to be a pretty big political statement. It's not really a fact or anything. It's more opinion and a political statement. But it's my belief that, of course, you can't choose your sexuality. I mean, I sure as hell didn't choose to be heterosexual. I'm pretty sure most people didn't. And I can assure you it's probably the same for gay people as well. They can't choose their own sexuality either. So, personally, the way I see it is that if you can't choose something, then and you're getting discriminated, I guess, you're getting that held against you, then it's not right. Personally, I don't believe in marriage. I don't really... I guess most 20-year-old males would probably agree with me, at least at this stage in their life. I don't really see the point in marriage. I don't see the purpose of it, at least. I don't... More goes to my libertarian leanings. says the guy that supports gun control. But I personally believe that the state really shouldn't get involved in personal relationships and all that other stuff in the bedroom particularly, and just in personal relationships. If someone wants to get married, then go for it, but I just don't think it should be recognized by the state, either heterosexual or homosexual unions. But I do see the benefit of it, and personally, if people want to have the benefits of marriage, then they can just get a civil union. And I'm pretty sure that gives you exactly the same rights. It gives you like visitation rights in hospital with your partner. So you can go and visit them, or I don't know, I guess maybe some tax relief or whatever. But you can also be, no doubt, in a de facto relationship where you don't need to get married or be in a civil union, and you just need to live with the person for around 2 or so years, and then you're pretty much married, even though you just, I don't know, you might be just sleeping together. And the state says that you are in a de facto relationship, which I completely disagree with. But back to the gay marriage stuff. I forget the lady's name, but this lady was comparing or saying that before we know it's a slippery slope and pedophiles will have the same rights as, oh, well, pedophiles will have rights. I think that's what she said. Pedophiles will have rights because of gay marriage, etc. Which is completely ludicrous. Of course, pedophiles should have rights. Pedophiles are still human beings, and at least in Australia, we are a nation ruled by laws. We have a constitution. We're a constitutional monarchy. As much as I disagree with the monarchy, we still are ruled by laws. And even the head of state, who really is not really the Queen. I guess the Queen is the head of the state when she visits Australia, but it's pretty much the Governor General, who's the Queen's representative, I guess. That could be another video though, talking about Australian Republic. I think that'd be a rather good video. It's something I'm a bit more passionate about than gay marriage, etc. I just don't really see, like, there's lots of people that say there's much better things to worry about, etc. But in Australia, we see ourselves as, I guess, a egalitarian society where everyone's equal, man or woman, gay, straight or bi, or black or white. Whatever you are. As much as some of our past is extremely brutal, probably much worse than, I guess, the British or Americans treated the native Indian Americans, we probably even treated our Aboriginals much, much worse, and we still continue to, I don't know, do some pretty fucked up things, really. I mean, some of the things, like, in places where Aboriginals live, at least in the Northern Territory, which has the largest population mass of Aboriginals, you're not allowed to bring in pornography. Pornography is completely illegal, and so is alcohol. And I guess they're trying to minimize the harm, but still, it's incredibly wrong. Just because someone's, I don't know, black or whatever. And of course, we had our own childhood slavery. It's definitely not a very proud past. And I'm rather glad that in Australia we don't really have a circle jerk, at least, over our founding fathers, if you were. And of course, many of our earlier politicians were, I guess you could say, British to their bootstraps, where they completely supported Britain, and they, I don't know, I guess they believed Australia should be a vessel, pretty much, for Great Britain, instead of being her own independent nation. Which is quite sad, really. Unfortunately, our leaders didn't really stand up for Australia, but for Great Britain. Which is very unfortunate. Not a massive supporter of all that. We need to chuck a right over here. Seems like we're going down a country road, but we've got 800 kilometers left. So we're tackling this pretty quickly. It's damn tough to get me away from SimCity though. It's a brilliant game. So yeah, SimCity 4 video, make sure you check that out. And yeah, this lady was just comparing pedophiles to, I think she only just made like one statement or so, comparing pedophiles to the gays. and that pedophiles are going to have the same rights as that they'll be able to get married to children, whereas no one's really suggesting that at all. Just what pretty much right-leaning groups that are pretty crazy. They just like throwing that slippery slope arguments around, especially when it comes to gay marriage. I mean, gay people most definitely don't get to choose their sexuality. So if we like to proclaim ourselves to be an egalitarian society, then it's best to at least allow gay marriage to happen. But back to this Bernard Gaymore chap. You might have seen me tweeting a couple of things on him, about him on Twitter, or if you've been following Australian media or whatever, Australian politics, you most definitely would have heard about this over the last week. It's definitely making the rounds. And this Bernard Gaynor chap, he's been making quality statements for the last week. It started off with saying that he didn't want gay teachers teaching his children because they're going to push the homosexual agenda on them. I actually had a lesbian teacher in year 6. So I would have been like 12 years old. I literally did not know she was a lesbian until we went to a dinner, like with my family, at this place called Sizzler. It's sort of like a family restaurant, all you can eat though, bloody brilliant. But we saw her with another teacher, and like it was pretty obvious they were lesbians after that. But honestly, she never pushed any agenda on me or any of the students, and I'm pretty sure that's how it is like with the most lesbian or homosexual teachers. We just went way too quick around that. Thankfully, we didn't really damage ourselves too bad, but that is one strong pole. Very strong pole. But that is your fault. I'm not gonna get blamed for that. He's been saying, get what he's been saying. Let me just think. But, and then a couple of days after he just made his homosexual statements, he's supposedly a proud Christian. He likes saying how proud he is of his Christian heritage and Australia's a Christian nation and all this other baloney. Australia is not a Christian nation. It says so in our constitution. I mean, you can say that most people in Australia are Christian, which, oh, it's true. But if the way that Australia is going in the next 20 or so years, it won't even be 20 or so years, in the next couple of years, probably in the next census even, which I think is going to be in the next 3 years, I think, or 2 years. But now, that did no damage though, did it? But in the next 2 years, Australia might even be a predominantly atheist or non-believing nation in either of the biggest, I guess, Abrahamic religions, which is personally great. Won't have, well, most Australians really don't believe, I don't believe, but I don't think most Australians really believe in Christianity and all that. I think they're just put that down by, I don't know, association. They believe they were born to Christian parents or whatever, and I guess they believe that they're Christian, even though in Australia all churches are pretty much struggling to fill up their pews. I guess it's pretty much a problem around the world, but predominantly Australia. We're so far away from everything, really, that most of the bullshit that the Pope spews out doesn't really get heard in Australia, and thank fuck for that. Because after all, the Catholic Church like to spread around the rumors that condoms don't help stop the spread of sexual diseases, especially in Africa, where people probably aren't as educated and like to believe in, I don't know, fairy tales, really. I really don't understand why people in Africa like believe in God, etc. It just really does not make any sense. Like in nations that are so like war ravaged and just filled with so much poverty, I guess they are looking for hope. Personally, I believe that religion, I guess, is a sort of weakness in people that, you know, they're looking for hope, and of course this is gonna offend some people. That's cool. As personally, of course, my beliefs and my experiences of people that have, are believers. My parents, well, my mum is especially very religious. She damn forced me to go to church every Sunday. And if not, she'd ban me off the internet. Thankfully now that doesn't happen. When I was like 14, 15, that was no fun. Had to go to church. I really don't understand it, but whatever. Christian people going to Christian people, aren't they? And then this Bernard Gaynor guy was saying about, like he said he did some inflammatory comments about halal meat. I can't remember what the comments were, but there were some quality comments. Anyway, I guess the whole moral of the story is that, personally, I believe gay marriage should be allowed. Yada, yada, yada. I'd love to see some people that disagree with me, though, in the comments section. I don't think people will, I guess, defend the status quo as much. I'm guessing most of the people that watch this are a lot younger. And I guess, statistically, most young people really could not give a rat's ass whether gay people can marry or not. Well, I guess they support it, so it doesn't really bother them if they do. Which, and also another thing that the, I guess, anti-gay marriage lobby likes to say is that it's, you know, it's going to demean the institution of marriage, the long-held institution of marriage, which is supposed to be held oh so highly in society. Which is quite amusing, really, because, well, last I checked, it's something like 60% of marriages end up in divorce now, which is just unbelievable. 60% of marriages end up in divorce. That is so crazy. And somehow gay marriages are supposed to undermine marriage. I thought when you get married, you're supposed to swear to the other person and to the other people in the, you know, in the ceremony, that you're gonna live together through happiness and all that other crap, all that white knight-ish bullshit that people say to each other. Says a 20-year-old guy. But all that other stuff that they say during marriage, and then they lie and they probably stick their dick into some other woman, or the woman cheats or something like that. I think that demeans the institution of marriage more so than gay marriage could ever demean it. And somehow I don't really hear much of the anti-gay lobby talking about that. Or the people that like to support the institution of marriage. I don't really hear anyone talking about that. Anyway, talking about women as well. I've been watching the Australian Open, which is pretty much the only time I ever really watch tennis. Don't really watch much TV, but the tennis, of course, is really good. The Australian Open, which is one of the major it's one of the Grand Slams, and there's only 4 of them in the world. I've been watching that, and women's tennis is an absolute joke. And this isn't me being sexist or anything. Good. This isn't me being sexist. But in Grand Slams, I'm not sure how many of you guys follow tennis, but in Grand Slams, women play best of 3 sets, whereas men play best out of 5. And I guess this is a case of political correctness gone mad. Women in tennis get paid to win just as much as the men do, but they don't play. Like, this is obviously, I guess, going to be personal opinion, that women don't play tennis anywhere near as well as men. I guess that's personal opinion, but they're definitely not as entertaining, and they pretty much have to resort to ridiculous shrieking, really. It's pretty unsportsmanlike what they do. Shrieking ridiculously. They hit the ball so slowly. It's definitely not fun to watch, and the only real way that women's tennis really can get bums on seats is through mixing it up in tournaments with men. So pretty much in the tennis is a weird sport because it's run by two different, I don't think it's run by two different organizations, but they have two different tours. They have the women's tour and the men's tour, and the women's tour has nowhere near as much, I guess, followers and supporters. And I heard stories of like some finals, like oh god, going left, but in tennis, in like some final in Rome or whatever, the females, like the top, these are the top females, like the top, I guess, 1v2, like best women in the world. Some of their games only have about like 100 people watching their games, which is really quite embarrassing for supposedly the best of the best. But really, no one really cares about women's tennis. It's become really a joke. Like Maria Sharapova, and I think her name is Victoria Azarenka. You might have seen her in the semi-finals. I guess Joe Wilfried Songa said that women are not as good in tennis, and they're not as, I guess, they don't stay in form as much because they're hormonal, and they're very emotionally unstable. And it's funny how the Australian media pretty much thought he was just joking. But and then the next day, Victoria Azarenka, she lost. She had 5 match points to win the match to get into the finals, and she lost all of them. And then she supposedly spontaneously got injured, but I don't think the Australian public really fell for that though. I think they could see past the bullshit and could see that she was pretty much trying to compose herself, like trying to, I guess, maybe psych out the opponent. And the opponent was like a 19-year-old lady who was, yeah, it was pretty amazing. All right, oh. But back to the women's tennis pay stuff. Women get paid exactly the same as men, playing 3 sets, whereas men have to play best out of 5 sets, which is completely ridiculous, completely political correctness gone wrong. Like, I'm all for equality. I wouldn't really call myself a feminist. I'd personally call myself an egalitarian. I believe in equality. No matter who you are, the rules should be equal. And if women want to get paid as much as men, that's cool. I mean, personally, I think women, at least in tennis, are pretty hopeless. They're nowhere near as good as the men. But personally, if they want to play best out of 5 sets, then I think they probably should get paid as much as men. I really wouldn't have that much of a problem with that. But for women to get paid as much as men, to play best out of 3 sets, some of the games in tennis are just really, really short. Whereas in men's tennis, they last so much longer because it's best out of 3, best out of 5, and to win, you have to win 3 sets to win that. And 3 sets is the longest a women's match in a grand final or a grand slam can go for, which is crazy. It's just a weird world that we live in right now. But, you know, I guess it's supposedly now it's just incorrect to say those things or to call those things out. Although I do know that a lot of it always pops up, especially around the Australian Open time. Lots of male players especially bitching about the women's tennis and how unfair it is, because it really is unfair. Like, there's no two ways about it, really. I don't mean to be like sexist or anything. I'm just saying how I see it as. If anyone's got, of course, any arguments against it, I'm not going to block you. I'm going to argue with you, or I might just lol at your stupidity, which I do a fair amount of. Like in the last episode, this is going to rile up more people than I've already riled up now. But the last episode, I don't think I really talked anything about, like, guns as in having them in your home to, like I didn't talk about gun stats or anything. I think that's what a lot of people missed out on. I just talked about guns in terms of the Second Amendment and what the Second Amendment really is. is that it doesn't say anything about firearms, but arms, and then supposedly some people took it, I guess, maybe way too defensively or something. He just went berserk at me. But it seems like you guys enjoyed that episode, at least the majority. The silent majority, that is. And the video seems to have done quite well. It might have been the little syringe in the thumbnail as well. Yeah, I'm liking talking about things that, I don't know, I like to talk about in these videos because they do go on for quite a little while. But next episode, we'll hopefully have the latest patch, and then we'll also hopefully I'll be able to talk a bit about the Australian Republic and, well, the current constitutional monarchy. And right now we are in the Australia Day weekend, which I'm pretty sure this will be like in most countries, but if you have a national holiday on a weekend, you get the next Monday off. So we got a 3-day long weekend, Australia Day weekend, which was on a Saturday, Australia Day, where we celebrate everything about Australia. Some people, the Aboriginals, call it Invasion Day, which is, I don't know, I guess, Australia Day is great to like celebrate, I guess, as our political leaders say, our unity and our diversity, but it's also important to remember that what happened on that day, because that's pretty much when Western civilization settled to call Australia home, pretty much, or to claim Australia as their own. And some pretty tragic things transpired from that. Some people, I guess a lot of people call them, I guess, Chardonnay sipping elitists or whatever. The people that like to say that Australia Day should be moved on to another day because it's called Invasion Day by the Aboriginal people of Australia. That's when Captain James Cook settled here. I personally don't really care what day it is, really, as long as we get to celebrate everything that is about Australia. Even though I spent most of the day playing SimCity. Playing SimCity. It's pretty good by EA, by EA Australia at least. So I didn't think I was going to get the beta. And then they just sent it to me on the Friday before Australia Day, and saying that it goes live at 4 AM. Here's the code. Yada yada yada. Yeah, some people think Australia Day should be moved onto a different day apart from January 26th. Personally, I don't really care, but it should be important to realize that there's, I guess, a history that maybe we aren't all too proud of in Australia. Instead of just celebrating, yeah, Australia, fuck yeah. Instead of celebrating like that, just also remembering that that was the day that's pretty much secured the death, I guess, of the Aboriginal heritage. Pretty much, we still really haven't solved. Come on, are you gonna overtake me or not? Still really haven't solved, I guess, the Aboriginal people's issues, as well as in other countries where the Aboriginals of those countries were wiped out or decimated or pretty much used, really, for white man's gain or European man's gain. So as I said, we still have pretty ridiculous laws in the states which has the most, and in areas which have the most Aboriginals. It's called the Northern Territory Intervention, and we actually have our army up there, like, trying to keep the peace, even though there's not much peace to keep. It's just that, I don't know, a bit of prohibition there and pretty ridiculous rules. And it's pretty sad, like the sad state of Aboriginal people. A lot of them are tax bludgers, I guess you'd call them. They take a lot of advantage of different tax breaks that they have as Aboriginal people. We have an Australian journalist in Australia. His name is Andrew Bolt, who I personally think is an absolute dickhead. I think most people really think the same of him. It's just that he also has a large fan base or a supporter base He has a blog. He's pretty much a blogger. And he has a very popular blog. He pretty much spews out hate speech, but sometimes he says some, at least he points out to some good things in society or things that should be noted. And he was pretty much saying, well, he went to court because the article that he wrote was very infactual, and it was pretty much crap. It was pretty much slandering some people, saying some pretty weird stuff about him. Pretty much lying about them, and he passed it off as fact. So he went to court to that, and he lost. And I'm not sure, I think it was the Anti-Race Vilification Act or something like that, which I personally disagree with. Oh, here we go. We're getting rain again. But what he raised, the point that he was bringing up in the article was that many Aboriginal people, because of the Australian White Australia policy, which was pretty much there to breed out, I guess, full Aboriginal people. Quite sad, really. What we used to do wasn't really that long ago. It was only about a short 50 or so years ago that the White Australia policy was abolished. But we, what was I going to say? Oh, damn. Oh, really? Are you going to go to sleep again? You've got to be kidding me. We've been driving for a long time, haven't we? And I was supposed to go there, wasn't I? Okay, how am I going to do this? We can do one thing and one thing only. And this is going to put me on the wrong side of the road, isn't it? And it's barricaded off. Alright. Well, this is going to be interesting. In the rain as well. We'd expect some police to come after us. Or something. We'll see how this will go. Hopefully I won't be talking too much, because then I'll lose all my concentration and cause a good amount of crashes. I'll try not to drive on the road, so hopefully we won't get fined. That's the goal, at least. And I think I just stopped myself, like I was just talking about something and I've completely forgotten what it was. But we're a short 190 kilometers away now, which means there's about 10 minutes left. This will be about probably 50 or so minutes this episode. Quite nice. Quite nice. I think I've gotten everything off my chest that I've wanted to. Particularly about gay marriage. Even though I really couldn't remember some of the stuff that some of the people said. Although I still can't get over the fact that a guy called Bernard Gaynor, yes, Gaynor, is so anti-marriage. Or anti-gay marriage. And just anti-gay people in general. I just really don't understand some people. And I better be checking continuously on this barricade. Hopefully they will let me cross any moments. Especially now with the petrol station in sights. Nope. It's raining really heavily. So are we in Poland yet? That is a good question. Let's check it out. Okay. This might be one of the new roads. I don't think, it doesn't look like I've been here before. And I don't remember this, really. Is it one of the new roads? I don't know. I've got no idea. It could be. I think it might be. Oh, this ain't no good. This ain't good. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, thank God they don't have those, those, toll booths here. This is not good. Alright, we're getting tired again. Okay, I remember this side of Poland. I think it will merge off into a one-lane road, or at least just a country road any moment now. It should, and now we might be able to merge. Interestingly enough, there's no one coming on here. I might be able to get... Okay, here's the country road. Yes, beautiful. Okay. Disaster averted. Especially with this truck coming in. But surprisingly, this seems to be one of the better series. It's been running for quite a while. I guess it's because there haven't been that many episodes. You guys haven't really gotten too bored of it. But Let's Playing on YouTube always manages to surprise me. Some things just get a lot of views for whatever reason. Like this, I would have thought this wouldn't have been the most exciting game to watch me play. But it seems to be doing quite well. And then there's other games that really don't do anywhere near as well, that I thought would do a lot better. And there's a lot of new games that have started to come out now, so I've been covering them. If you haven't been watching them, I've been playing bits of this game called, I think it's called Heavy Assault Strike, no, Strike, Heavy Strike or something like that. Shattered Zero. I can't even remember the name, but you might have seen it. It's a rail shooter, which is something that you pretty much only play in arcades, like those really olden day arcades. Maybe at your bowling centers or something like that. It's pretty crazy that a game like that was released on Xbox, and it only costs about $20, but really it should be released as an arcade title, Xbox 360 arcade, that is, for about $2, like 800 Microsoft points or whatever. It really isn't worth much money at all. But I thought some people might be wanting to check it out before they buy it, before they splurge. And it's only taken me about 2 hours to beat the game. The whole Let's Play is only about 4 hours. And then I've gotten another game, which surprisingly is not doing well at all. It's called Strike Suit Zero. Come on, there's no... Oh, really? Damage 2%. That's not good. Oh, really? You need a rest stop right now. Well, I can go get repaired now, but I have no desire to do that. I've managed to screw up my truck. Then again, we've been driving quite a bit though, so you've got to forgive me. And I'm pretty sure this is one of the new sections of road. I really don't remember all these roadworks and just like these barricades here. And these signs, these red and white signs. Clearly this guy that made this was Polish, because it's called the Europe map. But the red and white signs everywhere, and all the roads that were changed were just around Poland, so that's that. So yeah, but apart from that, I think I'll be continuing this Let's Play every Sunday. That's a really good pace, especially when it comes to a game like this. One long episode. One long episode. I mean, there's other YouTubers that would split up one of my episodes up into like 5 or so parts. Funny stuff. And we got fined for avoiding sleep. But in other games that are coming out, if the SimCity beta will be an open beta and there won't be a non-disclosure agreement, which is what happens with open betas, then of course I will upload gameplay of it. You can guarantee that. That's pretty much all that'll be on my channel. It's like spam it on the day that I'll be able to do it. But don't count on anything, because it might not happen. It probably won't. But I'll definitely be doing SimCity 5. And on the horizon, I guess I'll just have to... well, I'm going to end the Zoo Tycoon soon. That's going to end quite soon. Pretty much because we've done everything that we've wanted to. Of course, there's all these expansions, but the views on it have dropped off, so I guess the interest of it has waned. So that's going to be ending soon. I guess Farming Simulator, that's going to end soon. I'm personally not enjoying that anymore. And when I don't enjoy a game, I think that shows through the commentary. So that'll be ending. That'll be pretty much a big blow to all the Farming Simulator fanboys though. There's a lot of people that just like to spam on every one of my videos, more Farming Sim. And I really don't like it when people do that on like other videos. Like say if someone said, I want Farming Sim on this video. Really don't like it. Like, just, it's not cool. I'm sure many other Let's Players that, you know, have grown through one game or another, and wow, not even my parking brake could save me there. Check this out. 10% damage, but 2% to our trailer. That's good. It's definitely a massive clusterfuck over here. There's a bit of construction here. A bit of everything going on. I'd also be interested in what the English people think of. I guess I'll ask this in the next episode, of what the English people think of Scotland possibly seceding from Great Britain, or becoming a republic, or whatever the shebang is with them, whatever they want to become. I think they want to keep the Queen as their head of state, but after a couple of years they want to change it, something like that, and they're going to hold a referendum on it quite soon. I think 2014. And another thing I'd love to know is what some of you guys that are a bit more interested in the political side of things, just knock that guy off track, but what some of you guys think of David Cameron's plans to hold a referendum on membership of the EU with Great Britain? I'd be interested to know that. I think it's, personally, from an outsider's view, from a complete outsider's view, I think it's pretty irresponsible. It's pretty idiotic, and I don't think Britain would really prosper anywhere near as much if they leave the euro. Because there's a lot of people that say, I don't know, when it comes to immigration, there's a lot of, especially Polish people, that come along and take all the jobs, etc. Cheap labor. Personally, I don't really see it like that. I think every nation, pretty much, that's quite successful at least, has roughly the same problems, in that supposedly foreign people come in and take the jobs, whereas I really don't believe that personally. I just think it's mainly the bums that say that, because they haven't really been educated, they haven't gone to university or gone to college or TAFE, whatever you call it, wherever you are, and they haven't learned any skills, and they're complaining about more educated foreigners taking jobs in Britain, whereas they were never really qualified to have the jobs in the first place, so they have to look outside for jobs. Because I'm sure that, well, I think I can safely say that I know that in Great Britain you have minimum wages, and it's probably some respectable amount of money as well, nothing like in America, whereas I think the minimum wage is like $4 or so. Something ridiculous like that. There's no real point of having a minimum wage then. I think in Australia the minimum wage is like $17.50 for under 18, and then 50 cents up from, or every year until 21. So it'll end up being like, I don't know, $21 or so. There's something in that magnitude. Between 17 and $21 is the minimum wage in Australia. Well, we are just about done in Poznan. Next episode, I'll be talking about a bit about the Australian, I guess, the constitutional monarchy and my thoughts on it, and Australia becoming a republic, hopefully one day, sooner rather than later. And with that, I think we're pretty much done. We'll be driving around Poland once more though. I'll try to pick up one of their new roads. And do we level up? I'm pretty sure we do. We do indeed. We're still level 22. Well, we're not still, but we are at master still. And I would not mind, yeah, one of those things. Don't really care what it is. But that comes to an end. Another episode. Hopefully you have enjoyed. I most certainly have, and I'll see you later for another weekend of a Sunday drive.